Calling all Less Than Jake fans. The second leg of the Summer Circus 2025 is happening soon. We'll be starting out west in Phoenix, Arizona on Friday, July 25th, and taking it all the way through until Saturday, August 16th, where we wrap it all up in Nashville, Tennessee. Join us for a night of rambunctious ska punk music with our friends Fishbone, The Suicide Machine, and Catfight. Grab your tickets now at lessthanjake.com. The Summer Circus 2025 is almost here. Limited VIP tickets are available for each stop as well. Those too can be found at lessthanjake.com. Bring your dancing shoes along with your circus-themed outfits. We can't wait to see you. This episode is brought to you by DistroKid. Hey everybody, today's guest is Mike Tramp, lead vocalist for the Brooklyn, New York rock band White Lion. Together we pull back the covers and take a deep dive into the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the hit single, Wait, taken from their 1987 major label debut album, Pride. Mike said it best in the episode, that when you find the right bandmate, it's like love. You know instantly. And finding guitarist Vito Bratta and knowing he was the right guy was instantaneous. They completed each other's musical thoughts, as evidenced when Mike mentioned that the two have never had a songwriting disagreement. White Lion was super hungry, putting in countless hours in the clubs, playing all the songs from the Pride album years before it was released. So when producer Michael Wagner recorded the band, Wait had been worked out to the nth degree. The parts and arrangement were all there. Wagner just had to get the performance on tape. The intro is odd for a massive radio song. It just starts with a vocal, but the song was a hit in the clubs, so they recorded it how they'd been playing it. So for all this, and an acknowledgement of your hit song by none other than Aerosmith's Steven Tyler, stick around. It's happening now. You don't have to wait. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Take us back. Take us back to, I'm thinking 85, 86, maybe not that early. Do you remember writing?
No, definitely. I mean,
was it that early?
Yeah, I mean, the band starts early 83. I mean, Vito and I meets early 83 and starts writing the first songs. And so the foundation is poured in Jackson Heights, Queens in around April of 1983. And of course, you know, we went through a few different band members to finally find James and Greg in early of 86 completion of the White Lion that's known on the 4 albums.
Right. Well, I was asking because I know that Fight to Survive was the first record. Of course, Wait is from the second record that you guys did, Pride, but do you remember writing the song Wait?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. I remember Vito said this comment that sometimes, you know, as he started jingling around with the sort of the loop of the intro and what eventually is the verse, and I just said wait, and he looked at me and says, "Oh, that worked." But I mean, this song went through a lot of different editing, you know, I mean, between Vito and I rewriting. I mean, not necessarily that drastic to the listener if you sat with different versions that we had. But we wanted to perfect it because we knew from very early on that we had a song. You're going to hear me sidetrack once in a while, but it's still in the same time zone.
Yeah.
I remember when we had played the song the first time through with the band and recorded it, like on a Walkman with a microphone, and we're driving home in my beat up little Chevy car, and the stereo is distorting and the recording is distorting. We looked at each other and say, we got the song. And it always reminds me about that when people send your song, and then these days say, oh, it's not mastered and it's not this and this. If a song is good, the song will be good even during a typhoon or hurricane or an earthquake. Whatever it sounds like, if the snare drum doesn't sound good, if the vocals a bit out of pitch, if the song is good, the song will always be a good song, no matter who sings it and who does it. And that's sort of the feeling Vito and I got from listening to the first, rehearsal recording of Wait. And the other thing that I was going to say is that I struggled for a long time trying to get rid of the word wait, and it was the first word I've sung just in the rehearsal room, and I was trying to come up with something else, but no matter what I did, I couldn't change what I had done at that time, so I just said, well, it's just going to have to be that kind of song.
You know what a lot of producers have said to me over the years? They said, you can't beat it. And I never knew what that meant early on. Basically, like your little, throwaway line, you think, wait, you can't beat it. You haven't come up with something better than that fits the mood of this song.
Imagine if yesterday wasn't yesterday. It's just like no matter what you do, you just go, yesterday. How can you beat that? Wait.
Yeah, sometimes that's just what it is, and we've all heard the term demoitis, where you get stuck on something. But hey, sometimes it just is what it is. I want to talk and let everybody know real quick, listeners. You're originally from Denmark, and this band you put together. When you came to the States and you were playing. I mean, Vito Bratta is one of my favorite guitarists, hands down. His phrasing, his melody on the guitar. He was another voice, I feel, in White Lion.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and Greg and James Lomenzo, this is his second stint now. He's playing with Megadeth. I mean, the guy's is just a monster. Greg is an amazing drummer. I know he knew the Anthrax guys back in the day, and if you're running in that scene, you got to be able to play great. Do you recall the first time, and was this on a demo reel, that recording you had? Who heard this at Atlantic for the first time? Was it Michael Wagner? Did anybody finally say, hey, this is the song? Did you know you had something here besides just you and Vito?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and thanks for the comments about the guys, because it really just is like that. And here's a short, very little sidetrack away from that. When you audition someone, they will be the right person within the first 2 minutes. They might actually be the right person when they walk into the room before they pull the instrument out of the case and plug into an amp. It's that clear when the right person walks in. And it's the same thing in love. You don't really need a year and a half. You know it instantly. and within the last year, I experienced that so late in my life that I knew it from the first second I met her. So that's about that. We were always everything about White Lion. When these days, when there's so many, homemade but also semi-pro documentaries done that tells a story about how a band got together and how something, became real when people thought it was a different story and something else was behind it. The White Lion story is that this band came out of Brooklyn, New York. The songs that Vito and I wrote and the support we had from our two Italian managers, there were never a single conflict about the songwriting or the direction of the band, or we got to do something different. It was so crystal clear from day one on. I mean, the second time Vito and I sat down, we wrote Broken Heart, which would be the foundation of White Lion. It's one of the big White Lion songs. And we looked at each other after we written that song. It was maybe less than 45 minutes sitting and writing this song. And we just knew that we somehow had found something between the two of us that came out in the music, and we didn't have to speak a single word. And in our sort of like to sum it up, during the entire or during the 9 years of the band sort of existed, that was the language that Vito and I spoke to each other. It was where we were one. It was where we never had a single conflict, was in the songwriting. Not one single, I can't even find one single confrontation or issue with Vito about our songwriting.
That's extremely rare.
Everything else was a confrontation and an issue, but our songwriting, we spoke one language. And he said many times, why should I write with anybody else? When I sit down and write with Mike, it's just natural.
Yeah. That's amazing. You don't find that a lot. You alluded to, yeah, we'll argue about other stuff. Hey, why were you late for rehearsal? Why were you this? Why'd you do that? But usually the first fights you have, the cracks in the foundation of a band are conflicts with the music. You're gonna butt heads. I want this chorus longer, but it sounds like you guys you didn't really have that. It was more of a completely mutual understanding.
Exactly. And we didn't even know that we had it until we heard it back. It was in the songs, it was on the cassette tapes and stuff like that. And if it doesn't work there, it will not work, anywhere else. I mean, any band has to start with a great song.
Oh, for sure. Well, and as my listeners know, I'm not a big fan of re-recordings, but I think you bested the second version of Broken Heart on the Main Attraction record. I do like that better than the Fight to Survive version.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's fair enough to say. I don't know how familiar you are with, but I've done now in September the last part of the trilogy will come out where I've re-recorded, the old White Lion songs called Mike Tramp Songs of White Lion Volume 1 through 3. And without speaking on behalf of you, I think that maybe what you feel on the Main Attraction version, which comes about 7 years later from the original one, is the natural maturity and maybe a way of understanding the song much better. I mean, I have said in many interviews, and I will keep on saying them because obviously a lot of interviews is about the re-recording of these songs. I find it very interesting. Then 40 years later, I'm singing a song and going to myself, you know what? I understand this song now, and I'm the one who wrote the song. And it's just the way it is. I actually think at times I was ahead of myself. I had an understanding of the melodies I wanted to write, the lyrics that I wrote, etc., etc. Maybe I wasn't really the vehicle for the song at that moment, regardless if it became a hit and so, that later on in my life, when I hear it back and I hear how I sing it now, I feel I'm very much in control of the song, where previous the song was in control of me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can relate. I've had guests on here say that kind of same thing, and I have seen it time and time again. I know you have. You'll release a record and your fans don't catch up to that record till 5, 6, 7 years later. And they're going, okay, this has finally hit me now. I'm going through a divorce, or I'm going through whatever.
Interesting.
And it's funny when it happens to you as the artist, it hits you like a ton of bricks. You're like, oh, wait a second. I was writing this about myself. I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to jump into this song, Mike, because otherwise we're going to be here all day. Lots to comb through. The song is 4 minutes exactly. The intro, it's just vocals and a 12-string acoustic. Wait. I never had a chance to love you. Now I only want to say I love you one more time.
Yeah, I mean, here you go. You're starting with the chorus in a different way than the chorus will be when the full band is kicking in later on. So you're hitting them On the downbeat, the vocal line lands, everything. There's no escape from anybody. This is not a song you put on and start making coffee or toast, and this says, I'll get back to when the song starts. No, the song starts right there.
Yes, and let's talk about that boombox version, cassette version. Was it like this to your recollection? Do you remember if this because this is the arrangement of this song is very interesting, starting right off the top with how this chorus is, because it doesn't really happen like this again the way you set it up here. It's very different if you go back to that time period for what intros of hard rock songs were.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, there was actually, we did a DVD. Back then, it was actually called a VHS, called Escape from Brooklyn. It sort of comes out after the band breaks up or the band ends. And there's actually a little bit of a recording from a club show in Boston around 1986 where we're doing this song. And Vito and I are talking a little bit about Wait. And the song actually starts with the verse, where, it goes a couple of times around with just Vito going through, like the guitar before I start singing the verse. So the song never started with the chorus. And I don't think in reality that happened before we went out to California in January of '87 and started working on the album with Wagner. I have said many times that the thing about the Pride album is that it was our live show. We knew these songs inside out. So when we went into the studio with Wagner, there was almost no changes to the song whatsoever. Now, Wait would probably be the one where we somehow got this idea of bringing the opening chorus up to the start.
Here's another question for you, Mike. Back in the 80s and 90s, and still, I guess to a degree today, but, commercial radio besides MTV was all we had, right? So I always had heard that record labels didn't want the song to start right away with a lyric because the radio announcer's still talking, hey, it's 107.5, hey, this is the new one from White Lion, and all of a sudden you're singing the opening. Was that ever an issue with Atlantic Records or Michael Wagner or anybody at the label?
Man, that is a great question, and I have a pretty good comeback on that also because I discovered early on, way before I even came to America, that when I was starting falling in love with American rock and roll after growing up with a lot of the British hard bands, some Purple, Zeppelin, and Thin Lizzy, Queen, and stuff like that, I noticed that when I looked at the LP label, it had two numbers. And the first one might be 0.22, and then the next one would be 357, the length of the song. And I always wondered, what the hell is that? Until one day, I looked at my stopwatch, and at 20.22, the vocal started. So they could be yapping over a great guitar intro and calling, radio calling station, calling letters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, no, it never came up, but I'm sure maybe behind our walls or between, there might be one or two DJs saying that, because definitely you cannot talk about that over that. It's the start of the song.
It's not just the start of the song. It is the song. That's the hook, as you said, and at some point it sounds like you guys decided to put this at the top of the song, which I'm glad you did. It wouldn't be the same. After that first line, I never had a chance to love you, we get a drum buildup with bass and distorted guitars. And on the last line, when you say time, it's this huge, it reminds me, and I know over the years Vito got compared to Eddie Van Halen, but this is like that big 70s harmony like Van Halen or Purple, those guys would do.
Yeah, oh no, definitely. One more time. I mean, it's straight Journey right there. I mean,
yeah, it's awesome. And then you come in to what I'm calling the first verse of the intro. The band decays after that huge harmony, and a 12-string guitar takes over again here.
Just a moment before our love will die, 'cause I must know the reason why we say goodbye. Wait just a moment and tell me why, 'cause I can show you love that you won't deny.
Wait just a moment before our love will die, 'cause I must know the reason why we say goodbye. Wait just a moment and tell me why, 'cause I can show you lovin' that you won't deny.
Man, that's pure Dylan.
Yeah. You know, there's something about the swagger of a young rock star. Just, show you loving that you won't deny. I mean, Aerosmith would write lyrics like that, and it can mean a million things. Yeah, our head always goes to one place, but was this song written about anybody in particular, a love interest, or just some lyrics you came up with?
No, I hate to disappoint everyone out there. I mean, I have never written any love songs or anything about any girls that was about a particular person. That's just the way it was. I think that I have recorded 30 albums and I've certainly written a lot of songs and that's a lot of lyrics. And since you mentioned early on before the show started, you're familiar with my 16 solo albums. Maybe not all of them, but you said you were. So the thing is that, and it was a little bit of dilemma sometimes, that I was caught between my European upbringing and my love for American hard rock, being Journey, Cheap Trick, Van Halen, Kansas, Eddie Money, the powerful stuff, but still with great singers and great melody. And it's very hard to go back there and find a song that really says a lot more about, except for going out with a girl and then, hanging out with the radio in the car and stuff like that. And that's fine. And that was what American, rock and roll gave to me compared to Child in Time and like Paranoid and, Dazed and Confused, on the other side. So when I started at singing Wait, I knew there was no way around it. And I wanted to, the song had a sort of like, it wasn't a party song.
No.
It doesn't call for party, so I wanted just to see, it feels like somehow like a goodbye song with a little bit of hope. And so obviously the first word told me that there was only one way to go with it. And then, I just sort of try to bring it down there and saying, listen, you might go, but that I never really had a chance to love you. So, I mean, consider maybe staying to find out.
Sometimes, and as you said, you write these songs, these placeholders that, who knows, maybe Wait's one of those that you didn't realize that, not necessarily wrote it about somebody, but of whatever you were going through at that time, it came out on paper. I've always said that. Emotionally, as lyricists, you spill your guts, so to speak. On the last line here, that you won't deny, we get a distorted guitar, like volume swell, into these full band hits. This is like a huge hook in the song, the dun, 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 dun.
I can name that song in 3 notes.
There you go. You could definitely, on those full band hits, it's panned off left and right. Tons of room and verb on that. After the second hits of the dun dun duns with the band, the drums, bass, and stereo distorted guitar come in for 4 bars before we go into a full band verse 2. I say wait and show your lovin' like it was before, 'cause I won't let that feelin' walk out through the door. I said wait just a moment and try once more, 'cause babe, I need to hold you like I did before.
Well, he's definitely determined. He's not letting her go.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. In this case, of course, it's the guy singing this song. And you know what? I keep opening everything with the same words. I mean, it's pretty interesting that in the time that basically next year, or maybe sometimes at the end of this year, we're up on 40 years since Wait was written.
I know.
I mean, Holy cow.
I know. And you were in everyone that I knew, you were in our living rooms as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, this was, I can't stress enough. And I sound like the old guy now, Mike, where it's like, you kids don't know what MTV was like, but they don't. That was I'm holding up my smartphone. That was our internet.
Yeah.
I'd be glued to Headbangers Ball, glued to MTV. That was my Bible. It's funny. A song like this, I've heard it so many times, but to sit here and my listeners know when I put it under the microscope, I have found things that I just didn't know. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Was it a good experience? Because you did the third record with him, Big Game, but did you enjoy working with Michael Wagner? Because we've talked about him on the show here before.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm almost and I don't have the AC on. I'm getting goosebumps from what you're saying, because for many years I was so about just moving away from where I'd been, and I'd never really, I thought it's just a phase, and then you get tired of it and you move on, and then you do some new music and you feel really excited about that and stuff like that. And bit by bit, Wide Line at that time just sort of goes behind. But as you going in and like opening, like Al Capone's vault together with Gerardo, I realized what this song is. I realized how perfect in the sense of what rock and roll songs were in that time. I mean, you almost cannot write, I'm not saying it's the best, you can write a better perfect song for radio and video than Wait. It has all the elements, and you're not even gotten to the second chorus yet.
No.
It has all those things, and I don't really know where it came from. I think that it's just like the joint love for hard rock, American hard rock, that Vito and I had, and the respect for our heroes. We really, really took it serious. And obviously Vito's guitar playing this song is phenomenal. And when you go into the details of what he's really playing and how he's working out that guitar during the song, it just comes there. And of course it gives me the platform to give a really great melody line and like I said, we haven't even gotten to the bridge yet. The thing about Michael Wagner was just that when he opened the doors and invited us out to California, we didn't even have the record deal with Atlantic Records. We were sort of talking bad, but Wagner just insisted, I want to work with you guys. And I think when you go back to why certain things sometimes happen and why certain things sometimes don't happen between, for example, Pride and Big Game, and I know it's not a big interview about this, when we came in there, we came in as hungry, homeless band with a per diem of $50 a week for each of us, living in one little apartment in California and going to the studio every day, where Wagner was just a truckload of inspiration. He was such a great guy. He loved the band. It was all about having fun, and not the drinking fun, hanging out a strip club, but fun in the studio. He loved the band, and it just made us really focus on this album. And that is why there's no album like Pride. And Big Game became the total opposite, because when we went into the same studio to record Big Game, we were getting close to be millionaires. And the only thing we didn't focus on was recording.
Yeah. That I've heard that story, read that story before many times as well. That's a tough one. Well, verse 2, lots of cool stuff going on. Drums, bass, and that distorted guitar is now playing a really cool riff. And the phrasing under
He's
the
laying
vocal.
down the riff now.
Yeah, the phrasing underneath your vocal is great. Some amazing arpeggios there. And then we get into pre-chorus 1. We get the first harmonies in the song in this pre-chorus.
So if you go away, I know that I will follow. 'Cause there's a place inside my heart that tells me, hold on, oh baby, wait.
So if you go away, I know that I will follow. 'Cause there's a place inside my heart that tells me, hold out, hold out, hold out. Oh, baby.
It's almost stalking.
It is almost stalking in your Dylan-esque way, right?
Totally. You're waiting for that big bass to bite onto the hook. Man, I'm not giving up here. Oh, I mean that the bridge part of that song with Vito goes into the minor from the major.
Yeah.
It just gives me so much to sing to.
Yes. No.
We did that in a lot of songs, and he knew what I wanted when we came from a verse like that. I could pick 6 or 7 different White Lion songs. It just gives that, man. It's like it's almost the Birds. I mean, it's it's like doing a Dylan song all in minor. It's great.
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Mike Tramp after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This episode is brought to you by eBay. We all have that piece. The one that's so you've basically become known for it. And if you don't yet, fashionistas, you'll find it on eBay. That Miu Miu red leather bomber, the Custo Barcelona cowboy top, or that Patagonia fleece in the 2017 colorway. All these finds are all on eBay, along with millions of more main character pieces backed by authenticity guarantee. eBay is the place for pre-loved and vintage fashion. eBay, things people love.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Enjoy complimentary access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
If you're a band, artist, record label, or business looking to get your message out to a passionate audience of music lovers, consider advertising on Chris DeMakes a Podcast. We'd love to help you connect with our listeners in a meaningful and authentic way. Just drop a line to my producer, Chris Fafalius, at chrisfafalius@gmail.com. That's Chris, Fafalios @gmail.com. If our listener base sounds like it might be a good fit for you, reach out and we can talk rates and discuss the best way to effectively get your message across.
And now, back to the show.
Well, I had mentioned a second ago about Michael Wagner and things I never noticed. Wow, this pre-chorus part when it comes in and we get harmonies on So If You Go Away, I Know That I Will Follow, because there's a place inside my heart that tells me we don't get it on the first holdout, but we get harmonies on the second two holdouts there. On that Oh Oh Baby, those dun-dun-duns with the band come back in. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, choke the cymbals.
Such a great hook. But the thing that I didn't realize was how pushed back the single note guitar panned off left and center is. It's the 12 string here that really takes over. And that's just very different for this time period. Yeah, people use 12 strings, but man, this verse is just crunchy. And then you come in here, whoa, the 12 string really takes over. I never noticed that before until I got it under the hood here and looked at it.
That's interesting. And you know what? Sometimes I also didn't notice. And you go back and says, wow, you're right. There is a 12 string there.
The guitars are really pushed back, like almost like, wow, any lower, they'd be almost not loud enough. It's just, it's really cool that jumped out at me. Again, those Oh Oh Babies, they hit with the dun-dun-duns with the band, and we get into chorus 1, which we started with the chorus, and now you're hearing the whole thing, and it's longer than the intro, and here it is. Wait, I never had a chance to love you. Wait, if only our love could show you. Wait, I never want to be without you. Wait, no, I never had a chance to love you. Now I only want to say I love you one more time. What's interesting here is, and we're going to get into it, that now goes to a solo, but this is really the first time you've heard the chorus. Yeah, we get the first 2 lines at the intro. That's really interesting because usually a guitar solo will come after the second chorus.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're right. Of course, exactly. And sometimes when I sit there, yeah, you're right, man. It's like, sometimes when I play that song unplugged, which I have to take it down in a complete Dylan way because it's basically impossible for me to play that song any other way, I realize that I have to rearrange the song. So when I play the first verse, which I start the song with, I have to do the bridge and then a chorus, and then I do the second verse, and then the bridge and the chorus. So I'm thrown in. So basically, by the time I'm done with the song, I've used the bridge 3 times because obviously I'm not doing the guitar solo. And it is very interesting, when you go back and saying what is the perfect song, and then we obviously always go back to the Beatles, where you have verse, maybe a bridge chorus, verse, bridge chorus, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and then they're on to the next song, and that is a classic, pop song with a strong verse and strong chorus. And I could not come up with why Wait ended up that way, but somehow we just found the magic in that song where it could go. And maybe it's also why you don't feel tired about the song in a similar way, where maybe another song that goes verse, bridge, chorus, guitar solo, maybe chorus or maybe bridge, and then, in that way.
Well, I was also surprised that this song's 4 minutes.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me, I would have thought it was closer to 3 minutes. I've always said that to me is great songwriting.
Yeah.
You have a song that's super long, it feels shorter, because to me there's just no fat in this song. Some great harmonies here on chorus 1, on Wait, Wait, I never had a chance to love you. On the second line, Wait, Wait, if only our love could show you. The third line, Wait, Wait, I never want to be without you. And then we get the 2 waits after. And then at the very end of this chorus, that time is held out there, that real big harmony. It's not as loud as the intro. It doesn't need to announce as loud as it did at the top.
Yeah.
This is kind of dipping down here before the solo. Couple more things in chorus 1. Drums, bass, and those big open stereo guitar chords are now strumming away. And that killer arpeggiated guitar hook is panned off left. We get double vocals here in the chorus. That guitar riff, din 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 din, that riff he plays in the chorus. I remember watching you guys, MTV. It was the live broadcast from the Ritz in New York City. I remember being a kid watching it. And live TV has always been horrible, as you know, Mike. I don't care who you are. You never sound... I've heard very few performances where you sound great on live TV. It's just kind of all over the place. And I thought you guys sounded great. But as a young kid, what I didn't realize, Vito went to that riff in the chorus, and it sounded empty to me on live TV because I wasn't hearing James's bass. It was probably mixed low or what have you. When you go see a band live and now they're roaring at you at 105 dB, you don't hear that. I know that now, but as a young kid, I remember I'm like, wow, he's playing the overdub in the song. I thought that was cool.
That's just very interesting you picked up on that time in your life, because now when you say it to me, of course, I'm very aware of that. I was
about 15 or 16, Mike, and I remember thinking like, whoa, he played that part. My mind was blown.
Because the bass is the one that's moving, where he's staying in that key and things like that, and you almost need to kick in a second form of distortion on the bass to sort of recreate a little bit of a rhythm guitar.
That's exactly it.
Because for a while, when we were sort of doing like the first version of sort of like, Mike Tramp's White Lion, I was playing guitar. And Marcus and I, we were doing a little bit of AC/DC in that chorus, where I changed the chord on the second one, and he stays with the guitar riff there, and then it works because you have a chunky guitar just ripping out some big Malcolm Young guitar, goes bang down and down. But yeah, exactly. You have to compensate a little live for this stuff,
Yeah, you do. But at the same time, as I've seen enough bands where I like that bar band boogie mentality of like, hey, we got one guitar player and here it is.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I would imagine saying like the two biggest bands in history would obviously have been both Led Zeppelin and Van Halen. That if Jimmy Page had done like 6-7 guitar tracks and then he's out there live, you wonder, man, it's, and then sometimes you go, well, just listen to John Bonham and John Paul Jones finding that space. And the same thing with Alex Van Halen and Michael Anthony going in there and finding how to fill the space once Eddie goes into something. It just obviously Vito paid attention to those kind of things also, but studios is a bit different.
Yeah.
And then live,
Well, and again, I've always given this example. You could hand me Vito's guitar and his rig, and I can get around on a guitar. I can play a little bit. I don't care if he sat across from me and showed me his licks. You're not going to sound like that. We're all unique. We all have our own fingerprints, and this man could play guitar. We get into a 16-bar guitar solo. Drums, bass, that 12-string guitar are all present here in the solo. 16 bars, the guitar solo is front and center, and at the very end of it, we get this really nice echo from the solo that takes us in to the last pre-chorus. You know, when he would go in and do these solos, and I could imagine, Mike, because you kind of alluded earlier, you're like, we were jamming this song. We were playing it. When we got there with Michael, like, we were a band that had honed these songs live. And did he just cut this live off the floor? Do you remember him going through different solos? Hey, I have another idea. Did Mike? I don't feel from knowing the kind of player Vito is that Mike had to copy and paste his solos. He was too good.
Not a chance. Michael Wagner came out many times and said that the Wade solo was a one take. Now, on the other hand, Vito was a guy who composed those guitar solos at home. He composed every guitar solo like it's song in itself. And it is one of the greatest guitar solos, not just of the 80s, but when you look at a guitar solo in a song, there's a lot of guitar players, great guitar players, stuff like that, but almost 75% of all guitar players would somewhere in the song just go into like a blues scale or what we used to call a shrilly Ernie,
sure,
and just jam that and the song that. But Wade is almost like you're writing a fourth part. You got the verse, you got the bridge part, you got the chorus, but it's not enough. There is actually one more musical part in the song, not filler, but another part. And even though it goes over the four rounds of the verse riff, it's actually a third verse that Vito plays a solo over.
Right.
That solo takes a song to a completely different level. And I have never played a show, and these days when, of course, I'm out there playing with a new band behind me and stuff like that, when that solo comes, the rooms just stand still. It's almost like, like serving from match point at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And they just go, there's nothing else in this room right now but the guitar player. Let's see if he can get through this guitar solo.
It's incredible. And I see them all. There's a lot of great players out there, newer bands, older bands. These guys are younger than we are, Mike. But a band like Avenged Sevenfold, these kids, I call them kids, but these guys are great. But they're not. You're gonna close your eyes. They're not gonna sound like Vito. Again, I don't hear people playing this style today. It's something of a bygone era. He definitely had his own style, own phrasing. Coming out of this solo, we get into another pre-chorus.
So if you go away, I know that I will follow. 'Cause there's a place inside my heart that tells me, hold out, baby, wait.
So if you go away, I know that I will follow. Because there's a place inside my heart that tells me, hold out, hold out, hold out. Harmonies in the same spot as the first pre-chorus, except for the one line, hold out. The last two we get harmonies on. And that, oh, baby, comes back in here with those dun-dun-dunts with the band. The guitars come in again, left and center, the octave and single guitars. But this run here in this pre-chorus, it's something I never noticed before. Those two guitars are pushed way louder than the first first pre-chorus when you hear them. It's so cool. I never noticed it, but they're like 2 to 3 dB louder. They're
Neither
very
have I.
yeah, very, very noticeable and very cool. And then we get into the last chorus, which this is only the second full chorus of the song. Same harmony placement, same overall instrumentation. But on the last line, now I only want to say, I love you. We get this big drum fill that takes us into the huge weight vocal pad at the end. That part is just awesome. Those pads are left, right, and center. Some great harmonies. And then we get the very end of the tune. Baby, I beg you wait. The band stops and we get that dunt where you say, no, I never had a chance to dunt. The full band again on Love You. Man, the outros, I've often listened to this over and over, and as a kid, I'd try to put it on a metronome. It's just Vito playing at different speeds.
His own timing, yeah.
His own time. He picks faster, he picks slower. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It's just amazing. And before we finish with the song, Mike, I want to tell you, I thought you were kind of leaning towards this at the top where you were maybe shying away like, oh, this is when I was a young kid and these lyrics, blah, blah, blah. And, I've become an artist, which a lot of guys feel that. I have followed your career. I love good songwriters. I always knew you were a great songwriter. I had Capricorn the day it came out. If I Live Tomorrow, that track, I mean, to me, if that would have been on Pride, it would have been a hit. It's just, sometimes you can't plan these things, as you know. Also, big fan, Rescue Me from Freak of Nature. That song is awesome. I don't know if you play that live with your current band, but that song is fantastic. But, Wait was everywhere. What was that like? This kid from Denmark, you get to America. I mean, what did your friends and your family, I mean, it had to be like getting shot out of a cannon.
Well, I mean, first of all, thanks for all the praise about the other things. And God, I could tell a lot of stories about that. Now, Wait was also waiting for it to happen. I mean, we waited such a long time from the second that song came out and the video was made till it made any noise, and it could have really gone straight down, the gutter, or the sewer, even further. And it wasn't until somewhere around it was released in the summertime of '87. It wasn't around before September, October, when Atlantic Records basically almost had given up sort of on the band like they just do, that one radio station in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minneapolis, played the song at prime time and was just flooded by phone calls. Those were the days when actual listeners called back and gave voice. And in those days, radio stations had trade papers that, physical trade papers, not internet, but trade papers that they would write on or comment on, and every radio station in the country would read them. And this DJ is writing about how this song is getting serious response. And the following week, a station in San Diego, California, gives the song the same kind of thing. And then it was just prairie fire. And the same thing was the video had been on MTV for a long ass time.
It had.
But had never been played at a decent hour. And once they started playing like that, it didn't take long before that was the number one most requested video on MTV. And from there on, okay, start the presses, and now we're selling 100,000 albums a week.
Yeah.
And now we're on tour with Aerosmith, and 1 week into the Aerosmith tour, we already get offered 3 months with AC/DC once the tour stops with Aerosmith. We're not a support band anymore. We're a special guest getting paid to play with those bands. Not paying to play with those bands, but getting paid to play. And then it just starts there. But because Vito and I had known Wade for this long, and we'd recorded it twice, and we'd been playing clubs and like many, of course, every band plays clubs, we did not feel that this was an overnight success.
Well, and it wasn't, because you guys, had started this in '83, but I had the record. Not everybody watched Headbangers Ball. No. I was glued to it, midnight till 3 a.m. every Saturday night. Me and my friends, and most of my friends, including myself, we were into the Guitar Heroes, so we knew about Vito way before Wade ever hit on MTV. We all had the record. But you're right, when really it's '88 when things really happened for you that year, and it was all over the place, and you're part of my childhood, a lot of people's. And this song today, it's one of those songs, you have them where it comes on, you don't turn it off, you just crank it up. It's part of your life, it's part of the fabric of who you are. And before we break, I just want to talk a little bit about what you have coming up, Mike Tramp's White Lion.
That's cool. That's so cool. Now we just started the dates in the U.S., and we'll be playing for the rest of the year in the U.S. in and out. We got some European shows and stuff like that. But I wanted to jump in and give you the last words on Wade.
Oh, please.
Because the day we started with Aerosmith in I think like March of '88, and we've done sound check and stuff like that. We're getting closer to our showtime. I'm out in the hallway, and suddenly Steven Tyler comes walking, and the first thing he does is wait. It's just singing like that and nothing else, and we became really good friends after that.
Oh, what was that like, man?
Well, it's like you say, it was the recognition and the approval of what that song meant.
Yeah. No, I mean, you got approval from now one of your peers, but somebody you grew up listening to, and what a comeback that guy was having at that point. The band got clean.
That was a permanent vacation tour.
Yeah, and you guys were right there. Well, listen, again, thanks for taking the time to sit in with me. Go check out Mike Tramp's White Lion in the US. You can find dates online, and thank you so much.
Man, you got it, man. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to relive something that I'd almost forgotten. I feel like I'm reborn.
Oh, baby, wait, I never had a chance to love you. Wait, if only our love could show you. Wait, I never wanna be without you. Wait, no, I never had a chance to love you.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Mike Tramp. I know I did, and I definitely know that Chris did, and I can't wait to talk to him about it in the wrap segment that's coming up right after a few words from our sponsors.
Prime delivery is fast. How fast are we talking? We're talking puzzle toys and lick pad delivered so fast you can get this puppy under control fast. We're talking chew toys at your door without really waiting fast. Pee pads, cooling mat, and peg hammer fast and fast. And there's training TREATS faster than you can say sit fast. And now we can all relax and order these matching hoodies to get cozy and cute fast. Fast free delivery. It's on Prime.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
Deborah had to have surgery.
I had hip surgery in November of 2024.
Her United Healthcare nurse, Crystal, checked on her.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell that she was struggling.
Deborah needed help.
My infection markers were through the roof.
And Crystal knew what to do.
I called the hospital and said she's coming in.
And got Deborah the help she needed.
Crystal and United Healthcare saved my life.
Hear more stories like Deborah's at uhc.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Hey everyone, Chris DeMakes here, and I've got some exciting news. Chris DeMakes a Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at chrisdemakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalius and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Chris DeMakes a Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at chrisdemakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at the after party.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's feature artist is Garland Green from Hobart, Australia, whose sound is described as early 2000s punk rock. You can find their music on all the socials. They have a new singer named Nate, and here's a snippet of their song, Shadows.
We can't ignore a crack in the wall. I see the wall. More than a ghost they've left behind. A generation waking up. We are the shadows on the wall. The voices they try to make small. Louder than the silence they demand. Holding tight to every turn it twists.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
So, Chris, we've wanted to get Mike Tramp on the show for a long time now. I'm glad that we could finally make it happen because this is yet another one where I just saw the joy in your face the whole time you were talking to Mike because you've been listening to his music and you've been a fan for so long. And I don't know, I'm sure it comes through in your voice too on these, but if people could see what I'm seeing during this, they'll see that like you're in your glory talking to Mike Tramp here.
Well, you know, it was definitely worth the wait. But bump.
There you go. We did have to wait.
It was awesome. You know, I've said this before, Chris. There was only 12 slots on MTV during the day, and they played the same 12 videos over and over and over again. And if you got to be one of those bands, and hey, White Lion had their shot. This song was pretty popular. They got to open for AC/DC. They got to open for Aerosmith. Mike's still out there doing it 40 years later. And what a great success story. You know, Mike said something near the end that really means a lot. And I know this means a lot to you too. He was just completely baffled in the sense he'd never done an interview like this. He was like, people never ask me these kinds of questions. And what he alluded to was people ask me the same questions a lot. Whereas, this is specific to weight. And I really, really think he enjoyed that. But this song was huge. The influence of MTV, the influence of radio, it can't be understated. And it was cool to get the story.
Yeah, there were a few things he said that in pushing 300 episodes of Chris DeMakes a Podcast, I hadn't heard anyone say. One of those being that him and his co-writer Vito never had a single confrontation when it came to the songwriting, which that's shocking. That's unbelievable. I mean, sometimes the confrontation can result in something great, but I'd never heard of such a great collaboration between two people when it came to writing songs.
Well, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I think I wish I could go back and ask him now, Chris, because if I were to guess, I don't think Mike had any input to Vito. What's he going to say to a guitar player like Vito Bratta? What are you going to say with the phrasing of the solos? His playing was just, listen to any of those tracks. It's awesome. It's flawless. And I don't think Vito was a lyricist or a singer. I think he left that to Mike. You're the guitar player, I'm the singer, and we meet in the middle and everything's hunky-dory. I've never heard that before myself. It's very odd.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a great point there, is they both knew exactly what their strengths were, and the other person respected that strength, and they weren't stepping on each other's toes whatsoever. It was just like a perfect meshing of what they do. So that's really cool. I also thought it was cool. You asked him, like, hey, when you first got to America and you're auditioning people for your band, you were asking him about that process, and he said, when you audition someone, you'll know in the first 2 minutes or when they walk in the door. And I love that he said, same thing with love. You'll know in the first 2 minutes or right when they walk in the door. I thought that was cool. I mean, you and I really haven't had that experience of auditioning people. I'm kind of been playing with the same people I've always played with. But I thought that was pretty interesting to hear him talk about that.
No, it was. And I started on this a little bit ago and I got sidetracked. But, what a lot of listeners don't know is Mike was kind of the biggest thing as a kid in Denmark. He was in a band called Mabel, and they were basically a boy band. Okay, so he had this success. I don't know necessarily if it was lucrative, but he was in the magazines. He was getting chased down the road by fanatical teenagers. So he had that, and he comes to America, and he finds Vito. I mean, that's really it. And not to take anything away from Greg and James, who I mentioned. James is still playing with Megadeth, and the guy's an absolute monster. But talk about a cool success story. I was this kid in this superstar in my homeland, and I went to America and became a superstar.
Maybe there's not a lot of things I can relate to with a guy from the world of heavy music that had some hit songs or whatever. But the one thing I could really relate to that he said was he was talking about his songs, and he said at times I was ahead of myself. Like it would be years later and he'd be like, oh, I understand this song now. I've had that experience so many times where I was writing what I thought were just words that fit to the melody I came up with. And then I go back and be like, oh, this stuff was coming out subconsciously. It was coming through my lyrics and the choices I made in this song. I thought that was really cool. I mean, you've experienced that, right?
I have, and I can think of artist guests we've had on the show. Chad Price comes to mind from All. Yeah, I remember Original Me saying to him, well, what's this about? He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just words on paper. Rarely have we heard that. Very rarely. Mike pretty much said it. He's like, I had weight and I wrote words around it. It wasn't about anyone specific. That's really interesting to me. Typically when I'm writing, I'm thinking about something or a point of view. It usually just doesn't come out. But again, we all have our own unique fingerprint as humans and as songwriters.
Yeah, I mean, even if this song was just about an experience in a relationship in general, you can relate to it. You're going to go through something like this. Even if it's a lyric from the song that, wait, I never had a chance to love you or something. Who can't relate to that one way or another? So, I thought this was really, really cool. And what a cool guy. Is it, I wish I would have kept the recording going for the post conversation, because that's where he did say like, hey, I've never really done an interview like this before. yeah, like you said, Chris, he probably had the same 10 questions asked to him in a monotone voice for decades now. And
well, I mean, yeah, Vito stopped playing professionally 35 years ago. Hasn't come out of retirement. I heard that he was looking after his ailing sick parents for years. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But I certainly wasn't going to ask Mike Tramp when you're getting back with Vito or any of the same old questions he gets answered ad nauseum 100 times a day.
Yeah. You going to go see White Lion? He said that I think they're coming to Tennessee.
If they come and I'm not on the road, I will definitely go see Mike Tramp's White Lion play. And Chris, you got a review for us, I hear.
Yes, I always have a review for us. Yes, if you like our show, go leave us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. And hey, maybe we'll read it here on the podcast like I'm about to do here. This week, we got a 5-star review from Wasky. Wasky gave us 5 stars. I love how people just never put their actual name. It's always some sort of weird name. I mean,
Wasky.
Maybe this is someone's last name or short for like Waskovitz or something. Wasky said, great music podcast, gave us 5 stars and said, excellent podcast breaking down a different song each week in extreme detail. It's great hearing all the stories behind the songs and getting that behind-the-scenes look into what went into making a hit. It's amazing to someone who is not in the music industry how a song is actually put together from concept to release. Keep up the great work, guys. Thanks, Wasky. That was a nice review.
Wasky. That was a nice review, and as Chris said, you help us out a lot by giving those reviews. You can also help us by going over to chrisdemakes.com. That's where our Patreon is at, and you can sign up over there and hear Chris and I talk to you even more each week with bonus episodes of the After Party, and we enjoy doing that pretty much as we do the main feed here. So again, chrisdemakes.com. You help keep the lights here on at Chris DeMakes, a podcast. Want to thank this week's guest, Mike Tramp, for sitting in with us, and we'll catch you next week.
Hey, I'm Chris Fafalius, producer of Chris DeMakes, a podcast, and also host of One Hit Thunder. Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we take a look into a one-hit wonder band or artist to determine if they deserved more success or if they were lucky to even have a hit at all. We've covered When in Rome, Jaquan, Shanice, Yellow, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Jesus Jones, Positive K, Mazzy Star, and hundreds more. With new episodes every Wednesday and special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we always have nonstop fun, and maybe, if we're lucky, we discover some new favorite music. So if you love great songs and you often find yourself asking, whatever happened to that band? Check out One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Kristen Bell, and if you know my husband Dax, then you also know he loves shopping for a car. Selling a car? Not so much.
We're really doing this, huh?
Thankfully, Carvana makes it easy. Answer a few questions, put in your VIN or license, and done. We sold ours in minutes this morning, and they'll come pick it up and pay us this afternoon.
Bye-bye, truckie.
Of course, we kept the favorite.
Hello, other truckie.
Sell your car with Carvana today. Terms and conditions apply.